So you are welcome, guys, and we are now looking at um, the external hedging skills of transaction risk. And here we are going to use the forward. We are going to use the money markets. We are going to use the options. We are going to use futures. We are going to use swaptions, swaps first. Then we are going to learn swaptions. All right. So these are how we are going to carry out. This lecture will carry out these two. Then the part 4 will carry out these two. Don't forget, all is in the name of exchange risk. We have another set of risk management that we are going to do, and that will be about the interest rate. All right. So interest rate, take note of that. All right. So now let's look at the forward. Very simple one. So we look at the forward contracts. Now, how does this work? A forward contract is just a contract that you do today. So today, you are in today, and party A and B will agree to trade a foreign currency at a future rate. All right. So they agree that at a specific day in future, they will do an exchange of currency at a specific rate. So you sit in today and you say that in 3 days' time, we will do a transaction at so and so specific rate. So there is an agreement. You agree to do the transaction. So here I say that a forward is a contract. A forward contract is a financial agreement between two parties to exchange a specific amount of one currency for another at a future date with the exchange rate set at a time the contract is initiated. So you agree at this date that when these future days come, let's say you will do an exchange of 15 cedis is to $1. So you agree, but this 15 cedis to $1 agreement is done on this day. All right, the agreement is done today. So we have the agreed, which is the 15 cedis is to $1. But this is the agreed rate for the future. For the future date. So now the question is that since it is today, today will already have its spot rate. And let's say today's spot rate is, let's say, 14 cedis is to $1. And by the time this future date will come, that future date too will also have its spot rate. All right. So the spot rate of that future date, let's say, is 16 cedis is to $1. Because every day there is an exchange rate. But this one is the agreed one on paper, the one that you are both signed to. So the question is that, which of these rates are you going to go by? And that is where the popular musician in Shatawale will tell you that agreement is agreement, you. So that is it. You have to go by the agreed. So this will be the exchange rate for the transaction. So therefore, I make an important note here that when it comes to forward, the current spot rate is irrelevant to the outcome of the forward. It is irrelevant. So this one is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. This one too is irrelevant unless you are using it as a comparative. So the only thing that is relevant here is the agreed. So therefore, the features of a a future or a forward is that an agreement is made with the bank to buy a specific amount of currency at a specific time. All right. And here you are obliged because there is a contract. So you are obliged. It is binding on you. You are obliged. But the good thing is that this one, it is kind of a tailor-made. You can agree on any amount and do it. All right. So that is that. I said that the transaction may take place over a limited range of dates if options if option dated. All right. So what we are saying is that you can actually do it, I mean, for $500, you can do it for $1,000, you can do it for $1 million. All right. So and the explanation is that because it is an over the counter. All right. Over the counter means that it is tailor made. You can go and arrange for it. You can do any amount, even $1 you can do. Okay. So that is that. And so this one, it says that it is a perfect hedge because it is for the exact amount required. Later on, when we learn futures, you realize that futures are like forward, but it has a standardized market. It has an amount that everybody must do. You cannot make it a tailor-made. All right. So that is that. And here, so the underlying theory behind this one is the interest rate parity. The one that says that the exchange rate movements are caused by interest rates. Okay, interest rates. Anyway, so that is that. So look at this example. So it says that these are the spot rates. The spot rate for a Swiss francs is 1.44 so you know this quotation. So this is where we learned in the introduction. So which one is the offer price and which one is the bid price? So when you have this 1.4460 to 1.4560 is to 1 CD. All right. So they know that this is the bid price and this is the ask price. I mean, what the bank is willing to. So the bank will buy from you this and the bank will sell to you this. So basically that is that. Don't forget, the bank will always sell high. Don't forget that. And there is also a 3 months one. So this is the spot and this is the 3 months one. So these are the informations you have. All right. Okay. So now the question is that a bank, so we are doing some form of example. So the bank will sell 20,000 Swiss francs. Here we are not told that they have done the agreement for 3 months or not. All right. But if we are doing it now, the question is that what will be the rate to pick? Okay, so that is the question. That's the major question. So if the bank is selling now, which is the spot rate, which one do you think they will use? Which of the rates do you think they will use? The bank will sell Swiss francs. Now look at this. It says that the bank is in the business of making profit. So this is the step I always teach my students, just so that you are not confused. First, do the if more or less divide concept. All right, like find out whether you are dividing or you are subtracting or you are multiplying. It's very, very important. First, do that. Now, when you are done with that, and the bank is the one selling to you, the bank will be selling to you to earn more. Take note of that. I.e., the bank will want to take more from you. Okay. So if the rate is quoted like this one is a direct quote to the person in France, Swiss, but it is an indirect quote to a person who is Ghana here. Okay. So that is that. Now, if the bank is selling, so the bank will sell such that he will get more money or he will take more money from you. So let's do the if more or less divide concept. So if, let's say, you pick any of these, 1.4460, all right, is equal to 1 CD. How much would 20,000? 20,000, what is that? C, so this is CHF. This one too will be CHF. 20,000 CHF will be what? So you realize from here that it's a concept of a division. Now, if it is a division, then you must understand, because if it is multiplication, it's straightforward. You can just pick the highest one and multiply, because that is the one that will give you more. The bank will take more. But if it is a division, in division, you know, for example, 10 over 5 is equal to 2, right? But if you do 10 over 2 is equal to 5, which means that if it the concept of division, the more the denominator is small, the higher the value. And that is it. The bank, so find out if you are dividing. And since you have seen that you are dividing, the bank is going to take more from you. So you see that clearly you need to divide it by the smaller one. It's as simple as that. So these are the ways you can do to make it easier for you. I know this side is very complicated. Sometimes you don't know which one to use, but I'm trying to make it just easy for you. All right. So that is that. Because if the bank is selling to you, normally we say that the bank will sell high. All right. It will sell high. All right. So if he's selling the CDs to you, I mean, giving you SHF, how much CD is he willing to take from you? And those are the concepts that we are talking about. So now, if you still have doubt, you can do 20,000 divided by 1.4460. And that should give you 20,000 divided by 1.4460. That gives you 13,831.23. So that is what you have, 0.26, sorry. Point is 258, so let's make it 0.26. So this is it in CDs, because don't forget this one has SHF, CHF, CHF, so they all cancel out. It's to the CD. Now, assuming you didn't know what to do and you did 20,000 divided by 1.4560, what you would have had 20,000 divided by 1.4560, what you would have had would be 13,651.88. You see, which one do you think the bank will, if the bank uses this, sell to you this, it means they sell to you lower, and the bank is not in the business of philanthropy. It is a business and a profit-making entity. So, like I told you in the introduction, use the bank's perspective to do the analysis. So the bank will sell to you high and will buy from you low. So this would have been a perfect example if the bank was buying from you. So this would be buying, bank buying. If the bank is buying, then it means that you, the entity, you are selling. And here is a perfect example of the bank is selling. All right, which means the entity is what? Buying. So please take note of that. If whenever the bank is in the position of selling, they will do the one that will give you the higher value. All right, so that they can take on. So that is that. If the bank is doing it now, this is it. If the bank is doing it 3 months' time, what will happen? So under the forward to, this is the forward, and this is what you should pick. So if it is a forward for 3 months, the one that if the bank is buying. So take note of that. And of course, in your exams case, it will be in the fact that it will be quoted in a way that you, the entity, you are the activity holder, but you have to reverse it to the bank perspective. So in this case, that they are saying the bank is selling, in a typical exam question, they said that you will buy. All right, so that is that, and you have to reverse it to know the bank is selling. All right, so that is that. And if the bank is buying and it is division, you know which ones to do now, because you have to pick the one that will give you the lower value, because the bank wants to buy low. All right, now in both cases, you see that the quoted currency Swiss francs will be quoted forward at a discount at the end of the year. So you could see that the values here, so 20,000, pure reduction on how much it is going to be. So you see in both cases that the Swiss francs will be quoted forward at a discount to the spot rate, because this is the spot rate. This is the current spot rate. Now, I can give you the plus or minus, so that you will, the difference between this and this, I can give you the plus or minus so that you will get the range of the rate by yourself, like the way we did it in the introduction. So I can give you just one of it and give you plus or minus, all right, spread, then you will do that. Okay. Anyway, so that is that. Now again, let's look at this one. Let's see if you get it right. It is now January, and AMA PLC will receive 10 million Ghana cedis on April 30th. AMA entered into a contract, a forward exchange contract, to sell this amount on a forward date at a rate of this. Good. So, therefore, how will you go about it? So, if AMA is selling, we will need an exchange rate. We will need an exchange rate, and this is the exchange, the forward exchange rate. So, this is it. It is 1.60 is to a pound. Now, AMA will receive 10 million cedis. All right. So the question is that, where is the position of AMA? So is it that AMA, and so this is it. It said on April, the company is guaranteed 6.25. Now, and the risk has been completely avoided. Now, the question is that, in which country is AMA in? In which country is AMA in? Now, here we are looking at the perspective where AMA is in a UK. AMA is a UK person. AMA is a UK person. And AMA is receiving cedis. AMA doesn't want cedis. All right. AMA doesn't want cedis. So let me just add here. AMA PLC, a UK entity. All right. Will receive 10. AMA doesn't need the cedis. AMA needs the UK currency. So what does it mean? It means that when AMA is taking the cedis, AMA will sell the cedis for the pound. Basically, that is that. He's going to sell. So here you do the if more, let's divide again. So if 1.6 is equal to 1 pound, how much will 1.6 Ghana cedi? How much 10 million Ghana cedis be is equal to X? So it means it's a division. And if it is a division, all that you are going to do is to do, if it is a division, if AMA is to sell the cedi, then it means the bank is buying. Take note of that. And that is the analysis you must always do. So if AMA will receive 10 million cedis, she is not in a cedi currency country. So she needs to trade the cedi for the pound. So if he is going to give the cedi out, it means he's going to buy the pound. All right. So that is that. And so if you are going to buy, then the bank will sell to you. All right. So if you are going to give the cedi out, i.e., you are going to sell the cedi, then it means that the bank is buying from you. So that is that. You give away the cedi for the pound. So you are giving away, selling the cedi for the pound. Or you can also say that AMA is going to buy the pound. All right. So that is that. So here, what will it be? You just take your 10 million cedis, then you divide it by your 1.6. All right. Is to the pound. What will we get? 10 million by 1.6. And that gives 6.25. So that is all. That is all. So in this case, I can just tell you that pick the proper spot rate and you do your your division, and that is that. All right. So the advantages of a forward rate, we said it's flexible because it's over the counter. It's straightforward. It's just straightforward. You just do your division, then you are going. Maybe sometimes it can be a multiplication. You just have to do this concept to find out. All right. Then the binding it is binding, which means that you are bound by it. All right, you cannot move away. If you move away, you pay penalties, and there's no opportunity to benefit from a favorable movement. So if it comes down, hallelujah. If it goes up, then you are going to also suffer. Because it is over the counter, it is very, very difficult to have some of them in the market. All right, so that is that. So look at this illustration. What do you think? The current spot rate in Ghana CD against the UK is this. So this is what you have. So this is CD to £1. And 1 month forward is also quoted like this. So it will also be to £1. A UK exporter expects to receive 400,000. All right. So the same thing like the AMA in 1 month time. If the forex contract is issued, how much will he be receiving in sterling? Because he's a UK person. And please, we said that in the forward, the spot rate is irrelevant. This one is irrelevant. So our focus will be here. And the person is receiving 400,000 cedis. He's a UK person. He doesn't need cedis, which means that he will sell the cedis. He will have to sell the cedis. Basically, that is that. So what does it mean? So you see, for the UK person, this thing that you see is an indirect quote. All right. So how much of your currency is equal to one of somebody is indirect, but he is a UK person. They have done it how much of somebody's currency is equal to one of his, which means that it is an indirect quote. And he expects to receive 400,000. But I mean, he doesn't need 400,000. So he needs to give away the 400,000. So basically, that is that. Now, what you need to spot in here, the difference is very important. The way they've quoted the rate here is also very, very, very important. So if what is going to happen is that, like you see, the exporter will sell his CDs to the bank and buy. All right. So that is that. He is going to sell his CDs and the bank will buy the CDs. And if the bank is buying, they buy low, right? So it means the one that will give you the lower answer is your situation. So please get the interpretation very well. So if you pick these two, obviously you have to divide by the higher one to get a lower answer because the bank is buying. So if it is division, and that is why I say do the division thing, this one, do it. So if, let's say 1.455 is equal to £1, how much will 400,000 be? Just to find out whether it's division or not, or multiplication. Because if the bank is buying, they will buy low. And if they are buying low, you have to divide it by, like I told you, 10 over 5 and 10 over 2 is not the same. If the denominator is high, your answer will be low. But if your denominator is lower, your answer will be high. So if it is a division and we want the lower one, then it means you have to pick this. It's as simple as that. All right. Just follow the instructions to it, you'll be fine. But assuming it was a multiplication and the bank is buying, you think you should multiply by this or multiply by this? Obviously, you should multiply by this. Because by multiplication, that is the one that will give you the lower answer because the bank is buying. All right. So take note of that. So what happens if a customer is not able to satisfy the contract? And it happens because sometimes the supplier has failed to deliver the goods and the person needs no more the money to go and pay anymore, or the supplier delivered smaller or fewer goods so that he doesn't need the exact forward he agreed, or there is the supplier does a very late delivery, so the importer does not have to pay for the goods until later than an expected date. It happens. Or sometimes too, an exporter will experience the same kind of situation, but in a reverse formula. All right, in a reverse way, that now, so that they do not receive any payment at all. So you too, instead of delivering, you are not receiving the payment. Okay, so that is that. So what happens? If a customer fails to comply, of course, there are penalties. If there is a default, there are financial penalties. It affects your credit worthiness because people will no longer be trusting you like that. It does affect it. All right. But what you see here is that what we are trying to show you here is that if you cannot deliver the currency for the bank to buy, I mean, then what will happen is that you sell the bank will sell the currency. And when the bank sells the currency, they will sell to you, the same customer, at the current spot rate and buy from you at the exchange, the future forward, the forward exchange rate that you agree. So the bank will sell the currency at the current spot rate. All right. When the contract falls due for performance. But if you are not able, they will sell it to you and now buy it back from you under the terms of the forward. So that is that. So basically that is that. You sell to the customer and buy it back. All right. So basically that is that. So you force him to take it at the current spot rate instead of the agreed rate, then you would rather buy it back. And that is in the favor of the bank. Because if the current spot rate, let's say the agreed rate is higher than the spot rate, all right. So, or in most times, the reason why you are doing the forward is that when it comes to the future date, there is a spot that will come. Let's say it is 15:1. Then your agreed one, the forward one you did, is 16. All right, 16:1. So depending on whether the bank is buying or selling, the bank can take this thing from you at 16 and sell it to you at this rate for the higher one to collect the higher money, and the vice versa. So this is it. If a customer has contracted the bank to sell the currency, the bank sells the you sell the to the customer. It's supposed to be sell to the customer. You sell the currency to the customer, the specific amount of currency at the forward rate. So this is that. You see, at the forward one. Then the bank will now buy from you at the lower rate. So basically that is that. But the reverse is the case here. So here you are supposed to see currency, sell currency like what you see at the top there. All right. So take note of that. You sell the currency. Okay. So basically that is that. The bank will react to you in such a way that they can get their money back. All right. So this is the reverse form of it. And in this one, you sell the currency to the customer at the spot rate. When the contract falls due for performance, then you buy the currency back under the terms of the forward. That is, they now taking the lower position of it. All right. Other than that, you have to pay a penalty, or it will affect your credit worthiness. Now, so basically, in a forward, your step is to step one, find out. So find out if it is multiplication, you are multiplying, or you are dividing, and you know how to go about that. Then when you do that, the next thing to do is the bank, the position of the bank. Is the bank buying or the bank is selling? If the bank is buying, you have to use the one that will give you a lower answer. If the bank is selling, use the one that will give you a higher answer. That's all. All right. We come to the next one, which is called money market. Money market. So money market hedge. And this time around, we are looking at a little huge sum of money. All right. And you are going to do your hedging exposure. But here we need to look at it from the perspective of whether you are paying money or you are receiving money in future. So let's first look at the payment. It's a very simple analogy. Let's say that in 3 months' time, you need to make a payment in dollar, $100,000. But you are a CD country. You are a Ghanaian. Who needs to pay 500,000 $100,000. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And because if you have the money today, you just pay. But let's say you went outside to import and you are now coming to sell and you need to pay the money in 3 months' time. And you don't even know that if you are able to sell the things so that in 3 months' time you get the money to pay your supplier. What then do you do? What you do, and this is all in theory, okay? So what you do is that you are going to go to the bank, all right, and borrow the CD equivalent of that money. So that is what you are going to do now. So you go to the bank and borrow the present value. You see, this one is in 3 months' time. So go to the bank. You are going to borrow in CD. In CD, the present value of this $100,000. Take note of that. So you are going to borrow the present value. You see, when you are borrowing, or let's say you borrow in CDs, after you have borrowed the money in CDs, you are going to buy the present value. So that is what you see here. You are going to buy the present value of the future payment. Then here, my future payment is $100,000. So that was what I'm doing. But I'm just changing the concept for you small so that you understand better. I need to pay 100,000 in future. But I'm a CD person. So I need to go to the bank and borrow CD today. And the CD value, the money that I'm borrowing in comparison to is the present value of my dollar. So it means the first step is to do the present value of the dollar. If I find the present value of the dollar, so it means that here, what you are going to do is to first do the present value, PV, of the future payment amount, of the future amount. Then you borrow that value. You borrow the answer, the present value of that future payment. So that is what you are doing. So that is what we mean by that. You are doing it in the CD equivalent. Then when you do that, you are going to deposit that CD equivalent. Because you are not paying the money now. You will deposit it. And when you deposit, the good news is that you are earning interest. You are earning interest on it. And the purpose of the interest is to accommodate the exchange rate movement. All right. So when you borrow, don't forget you pay interest. You pay interest. So there is a deposit interest and there is a payment interest. Now, when the future dates come, so in future, so that is what you see here. You use the deposit to pay the supplier. That's all. You use the deposit to pay the supplier. So basically, what we are trying to say is that when you borrow your CD, your currency, all right, you borrowed your CD currency, the present value of that, then you are going to, so let me put in another step here so that it will be much easier for you. Let me make this in a 4-step approach. Okay. So let me change this one. Change this one. So once you do that, let me make the step 2 is to buy the dollar. Okay, you pay your interest, but because you borrow the money, you use the borrowed money. Use the borrowed money to buy the dollar. Exchange it to the dollar. All right. And please, what you are seeing here is that all these things you are doing, it is today. You are doing it today. You are doing it now. You are doing it now. But the interest you earn will be for the period the money is kept there, all right? And the interest you pay to will be the period for which you took the money. So this one, you are doing it now. But you realize that so when you deposit the money, in the future date, which is the 3 months time, which is this 3 months time, what you are going to do is that you earn some interest, right? So that is where the interest is actually received. Because when you deposit the money, you don't get interest the same day. It has to wait for the future date. Then you have your interest. All right. So that is what is going to happen. So you obtain some interest, which will increase the value of the money that you deposited. I mean, the dollar that you deposited. So the dollar is what you are depositing. Whatever dollar that you converted the CD value to is what you are depositing. Then lastly, you pay your supplier with the dollar figure. You pay the supplier with the dollar figure, which means the dollar you deposited plus the interest that you had on the dollar. So basically, these are the 5 steps approach. When you flip it around, it will be when you are making a receipt, you are the one receiving. So if you are the one receiving, the same thing, you are the one receiving. So you, instead of you are going to borrow, in this case, the money that you are supposed, the present value of the money that you will be receiving. Basically, that is that. You will be receiving. Okay, so that is that. And that one, you will not deposit. Okay, so, and that one too, you will use the money, you will sell the money. So in this case, you are not going to buy the dollar. You are receiving the money. So you won't buy, you will sell. Okay, because you are going to receive dollars. You went to borrow CDs, you are going to receive dollars. And so the money that you will be receiving in future is the dollar. So you are going to borrow the dollar in this case, not CD. So let's flip it around. In payment, so it's just the opposite of this. So in receipts, you are the one receiving the money. So let's say that I'll be receiving some dollars or some CDs or whatever. Let's say I'll be receiving dollars. Okay. You'll be receiving dollars. So you go and borrow the present value of the dollar that you'll be receiving. Okay. But you are a CD person. So borrow the PV. So, and let's quote it directly like this. So borrow in dollar, the present value of the future receipt. So this time round, you are receiving the money. So you borrow the present value of the future receipt. And when you do that, what do we mean by that? It means first do the PV of the future receipt. All right. Then you borrow the PV of the future receipt. So when you do the PV, then that is exactly that the amount that you have. Now, here we said that you use the borrow amount to buy the dollar. But here, you are not buying, you are selling. Because you don't want the money. All right. You need CDs. So you will sell the CD. Or you sell the dollar that you have, this future payment. You sell the dollar so that you can get CDs. All right. So that is that. You are doing this ahead of time before you receive your own money. So you sell the CD. Once you sell the CD, you can now deposit the CD. So like you see here, you have done your step 2. You now deposit the CD to earn interest. to earn interest. So that, and all these things are activity you do now. So that in future, when you get your money, you will now, in future date, so you will be earning the interest. Then now when the dollar comes, you pay, you settle the liability of your dollar. So that is that. In future, settle the liability of your dollar, the one that you went to borrow. That is that. Of course, they will charge you interest too when you borrow. So there is also an interest element here. So basically, that is that. So this diagram is to explain it a little bit for you. All right. So I've developed a table that you use that makes your job easier. All right. So this is what I've explained. All right. All the steps that you see here, hedging a payment, is what I've done for you here. All right. So basically, that is that. That is that. So borrow, you are going to make a payment in dollar, but you are in Ghana. And in Ghana, you can't go to the bank and say you are borrowing dollar if you don't do that. So you borrow cedis, the present value of the future dollar. You borrow the equivalent of that. All right. So first do the PV, borrow the equivalent of the PV. And of course, they will be taking you interest. So you use what you have borrowed to buy dollar. Immediately you use what you have to buy dollar. Then you deposit that in a dollar account. Not in Ghana here anyway, because in Ghana, if you do a deposit like that, nobody will give you interest. So find a foreign account to deposit that money in, all right, and earn interest on that, so that by the time the future will come, you use that money to, pay your debt. If you are receiving, of course, you are a Ghanaian, you are supposed to be receiving cedis. So you borrow the equivalent of the future, present value of the equivalent of the future amount, then you sell it. You sell that dollar for cedis. Okay. You are selling it for your cedis. Then you deposit your cedi. Of course, here you earn your interest. And when the time comes, you receive your dollar. You use the dollar to pay the borrowed liability that you went to do. Okay. So basically, that is that. So I have this table for you. I have this table for you. So what you are going to do in here is that, so you can, it's not by force to use the table. You can actually use these steps that has been outlined here. Okay. So these steps. But in the table, this is how the arrangement is done. This is how the arrangement is done. So look at it. You start from here, basically. You start from here. All right. So because here, this side should be your last thing. You pay the invoice from the supplier, you pay off your deposit. It should be the last thing, even though you can fix it in there. But in doing so, you need to start from here. Or you can decide not to use the table. There's no harm in that. Okay. There is really no harm in that. You can decide not to use the table. So let's look at how you are going to go about it in an example. So look at this example. It says that Liverpool PLC must make a payment of dollars. You know, Liverpool is in UK, but they need to pay dollar to buy a player. Let's say, which player now? I think right now, even though Salah is good, as a good player, which player am I loving most? Gravenberch. Yeah, he's very, very good. And Curtis also did a good job against Chelsea. Yeah, but Curtis will buy him with pound. But let's say we are going to buy Gravenberch. Instead of using euro, we are using pound. Because he's in Netherlands. All right. So Liverpool PLC. Anyway, Liverpool is the best team. Okay. Just that even though we are doing well, we still miss club. Liverpool PLC must make a payment of $450,000 in 3 months' time. The company treasurer has determined the following. You see, this is the spot. We don't need spot for the forward, but in money market, we might need spots for because of the things we need to do today, now. So in 3 months' time, this is the forward. And in 6 months' time, this is the forward. But he's making the payment in 3 months' time. So it renders this one irrelevant to what you are doing. So these are the money market rates available. So decide whether forward contract or money market should be undertaken. We want to know the one that will make us pay less as an entity, because all these things are cost. And so if we are doing the forward, do you remember the steps? First, find out in one corner if you are doing if more, less divide. All right. So that thing is very, very good for you. If you're able to do that, it is very, 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 very good for you. Okay. So please, I entreat you to do that. So you take, for example, any of the rates, because they are all quoted in dollar to the pound. Any of the rates, because just that the pound is not showing, but that is what it is. So if I pick if 1.7000 is equal to £1, because the Liverpool is in UK. How much? So this is dollar. How much will 450,000 be? So immediately you do this, you realize that it is a concept of a division. A division. And you see, Liverpool needs to make payment. It means that Liverpool needs to go and buy that money to be able to make the payment. That is all. Liverpool has to go and buy that money. And he's going to buy it in 3 months' time. And you have seen that it is a division. So if it is a division, and you Liverpool, you need to buy the dollar, it means the bank needs to do what? Sell. And if the bank is selling to you, you have to divide by the one that will give you a higher answer. And the one that will give you a higher answer is dividing it by the lower denominator. And so if you have a 3 months forward, which one should you pick for a division? It's clear that will be the lower one. Is that not it? So for the forward, you do 450,000 divided by 1.6902, so that you will see how much, he's giving out he needs to use to buy the dollar. So it's 450,000 divided by 1.6902. And that is giving me 266,240. So that is that. So always be mindful of that kind of analysis. Always be mindful. And this one will now be in the UK pound. That is the forward. What about the money market? So if you want to use the table, you can use the table. First, let me use the table to show you. So it's a nice concept. This is how it is. This is how it looks like. So you have here, and you have something like this. Okay. So let me push up. All right. So in this case, Liverpool need to make a payment. So it is a payment analogy, which means Liverpool is an importer and he needs to make a payment. So you do like right now, then 3 months' time. All right. So Liverpool's home currency is the UK pound, but you have USD. All right. Yeah. So how much are we looking at? We need to find a present value of that. So we are looking at 450. So you see that here we start with the deposit. All right. The depositing of the money. And you have to, and please be mindful, rates are quoted in per annum basis. In per annum basis. But you have to convert it. It's 3 months, so you have to do 3/12 of these rates. So bear in mind that 3/12 of this rate. So just take note of that. Now, if Liverpool is going to borrow the percentages, like is going to borrow the present value of the amount, present value of the future amount he's going to pay. So we said that first you have to do the present value, if you remember. Then you borrow that particular present value. Oh, I keep saying fair value. You borrow that particular present value. Then you convert it. So you need to find the present value, then borrow the conversion of that amount. Okay, so that is that. So here you see that for now you are going to withdraw funds from Ghana, and you are going to use the borrowing. All right, so let's use this analogy. Oh, this screen too. Let's use this analogy. Forget the fact that it comes and goes. Okay, so what you are going to do now, I prefer if you are going by this. So let's say the money that you'll be depositing is the present value of it. So here you had $1. Okay, so these rates, you will be doing 3/12 of these rates, because what you actually have is per annum, per annum, per annum, per annum. So if you see here to deposit the value, so that is the step 3. If you remember, we start with your step 3 here. We said that you deposit the dollar. So when you see your step 3 that I've written here, is you trying to deposit the dollar. Okay, so basically that is that. So you can start with that deposit. And the deposit rate is what? The deposit rate is 5 in USD. Take note of that. Here is a USD. Okay, so take note of that. Take note of that. One could also say, oh, but sir, you said that when I borrow the dollar, I'm going to sell the dollar to get a pound. Yes, it's true. So we are going to do that here and earn our interest. So because you deposit the pound, you earn an interest. So we will do that. But we need to find a pound figure first. And so doing the present value of such, what we're going to do, so please pick this one. You have to be mindful of that. Pick this one. So why is it that we are not going to, so in this case, you realize that is to make the payment. We need to find the present value of these things in CD, and that is what we are trying to do. So I will do it without the table 2 that you see. So 1 plus R, please bear in mind, 1 plus R of that. So you are doing 1 plus R, but your R is 5%, 3/12 of that. And let me see. 3/12. 3/12 of 0.05. That gives me 0.0125. Okay, so if that is the case, it's 1 plus R, so it will be 1 point. Let me take this thing up. 1.0125. And if so plus 1. So if I do $450 divided by that answer, what I'm getting is a strange figure. It's 444.4. All right. So this is the figure that we need in pound to be able to deposit. And we are doing it now. So if I have this and I need to convert it into pound, the spot rate is what I'll be using. All right. So the same analogy. So I need to give away this dollar to get a pound, which means that it's a division. We've outlined everything here. We know that it's a division. So it means I need to divide. And if I'm dividing, I need to divide in such a way that the bank is going to benefit. So take note of that. So if it is a division, which one are you going to go by? If you look at it critically, which one are you going to go by? Because it's a division. And the bank, in this case, the bank is what? Selling, because you are going to buy the dollar or you are going to buy the pound. and the bank is selling to you. So, and it is a division. So the one that will give you a more answer. So it will be $444, 444.44 divided by now. It is now. So spot rate is now. Okay, so 1.70. So divided by 1.7000, that gives me, it converts it to, so you see this one too is dollar. So it converts it into pound for 261,437. So it is this value that you are going to deposit in your, your currency, i.e. what we would have called our step 3. But this one is just determining the present value of the value that you need to, borrow. So basically that is that. So now, if we deposit this, we will earn interest. And please, in this time round, what you see in here is that this is what the pound people do. And let me even explain something to you. You see this rate, borrowing is higher in each case. So sometimes we won't bring this thing there. But you need to know that the bank offers a higher rate for borrowing and a lower rate for deposit. You think when you go and deposit your money in the bank, they'll give you a higher? No. So you need to know that the lower ones are, so it can be flipped. 5 can come first, 6.5, but you need to know that the deposit is always lower. All right, deposit is always lower. So that is something you need to really understand. It will help you. All right. So the deposit is always lower. The borrowing is always higher. So take note of that. Take note of that. Now, the next thing is that we are going to fix these things into, so if you put this thing into the bank, so this is really the converse, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to use it to explain to you, which means that it's not really a deposit. It's actually the money that you are borrowing in your own currency terms. And I'll explain to you. I'll explain that to you. Okay, so now it will be 261,437. And because of this, you are going to have point. I think I should do that one first before I come here so that you clearly understand. Because you see, we said that you are going to first, you are receiving the payment. So you are going to borrow the CD equivalent. Now, the present value of the CD equivalent. Now, this one is a UK person. So what he's actually going to borrow is the UK money. So what we are doing is this. Since he is going to get $1, what is the present value of that dollar? We need to find the present value of that dollar. And how do we find the present value of that dollar? You know how we do PVs already. But first of all, you must understand that you are going to convert the rate. All right. So what we see here is that the company will want to put 400 and so into a deposit so that it will mature to match the payment in 3 months' time. Basically, that is that. So let me do it in this step. I'll come back to the table and complete the table. So what the company really wants is that they want to make a payment in 3 months' time. So they want to deposit a dollar figure into an account so they are doing that for 3 months. They are doing that for 3 months so that in 3 months' time, they will be able to pay. They will be able to pay. So if you are doing the deposit, this is what it will happen to you. You have 450 and you are dividing it by the deposit rate. So this is why we chose the deposit here. And it was 0.125. And we had 444 still in dollar, right? 444,444.44. So that is that. So this is what they want to do. But this money, they are in pounds. So they need to actually go and use their pound to get this money. And that is the second step we did. So if I want to convert this thing into pound now, know how much I should borrow in pound to be able to have this dollar. And we have to use the spot rate now. So we did the 1.77700, and that is giving us a pound of 261,000, or the figure, or 37. Okay, so that is what we have, 0.91. So that is it. So basically, this is what you need. Okay, but because this is the money that you are going to borrow. So this is the one we say borrow the present value. So this is the present value in the deposit form. And this is what we need to borrow. And because we are going to borrow, we will have to pay back this figure. We borrow our own currency. We don't borrow the dollar. We are going to pay back this plus the interest. And the interest is the borrowing. So the borrowing, and please, is 3/12. So let's do that. 3/12 of 0.075. That gives me 0. So here I have to be 0.1875. So that is that. Means at the end of the day, the money that I've borrowed. So finding the present value is how we do this in terms of the amount they need to deposit, the present value of how much they need to deposit. So basically, that is that. And so these are how you need to understand it. Okay. So we need the present value. So we do the present value here. And we need to now go and borrow our currency, our own currency. And that is what we have done here. So this is what we are going to borrow. And we are borrowing it for 3 months, meaning that we will pay interest on that. So at the end of the day, it will be how much we will actually be paying on the borrowing. You have to find the interest of that and come and add it to it, because that is the full amount that we are paying. Is 437.91. We are going to pay this figure, which is represented by 1. Any number multiplied by the 1 is the number itself. Point the interest, which is 3/12 of what we did here. What did we get? I think it's a 0.1875. So basically that is that. So how much are we paying? So this plus 1 multiplying 261,437.91. So in the end, you see that the money that I've gone to borrow plus the interest that I'm paying to the bank is 339.87. This is the cost of using money market. Cost of using money market. It means that I'm going to borrow and I will pay interest. So together, the principal that I'm borrowing and the money that I'll pay as extra is this one. So basically, that is that. So do the present value of the money that you would want to get in dollar. All right. And you are doing it now. So use the deposit rate. This is it. And please, it's always like this. Okay, so if you pick this automatically, it means this one should be there. But please always also check, because they can confuse you and quote it. The deposit rate is always the lower ones, and the borrowing rate is always the higher ones. Okay, this is realistic. So it means if I'm using money market, this is how much it's going to cost me. So in my step 3, this is the figure 266. I think I have it on my calculator still. So it's going to be 266,339.87. Here, what you say that you pay the $450, all right, and you are paying, so you pay the invoice from the supplier, and you also pay off with your. So that is all you do. But in this case, I think this is much easier. It's just a 3-step approach. Find the present value of that money. You are making payment, so it's the deposit. All right. Then you convert it to know how much you are borrowing, and you multiply it by the interest of your borrowing. So basically, this is a simple 3-step thing. All right. So if you go by what we did here, So find the present value, and that is what we did. All right. You do it by doing the division of 1 plus R, the deposit rate. That is a payment. But what if you are the one receiving the money? Okay, so this is what we have done, and your answer is correct. We will do another one, all right, the Bantima one. Then we'll look at it how you receive the money. So deposit is the opposite of borrowing. So in you receiving, you rather use the borrowing, all right? And so that is that. We will look at that. Okay. So basically, these are your 3 steps, and you found your final answer. So what you are going to do is to compare that one to the forward and select the lower one, because these are all costs. If we are using forward, we use 266, 240. If you are using this one, it's 266. So it means that the forward is cheaper, right? So it means you have to go for the forward. That's all. All right. So where is it? All right. So this is it. Okay. So it means that the cost of the forward is marginally cheaper, though this is largely due to rounding off of figures. Yeah, but that is the cheaper one. All right, comparing this to this thing, that is it. So if you ask me, which one should you use? Should you use the table or you? No, 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 no. You just find the present value. If it is a payment, you do it the deposit of that money. You convert the money into how much you need to borrow, and you will be paying interest. So you do 1 plus the interest, and there you go. You compare it to your forward. There you go. So ladies and gentlemen, this is how it works. So we will take the next example and go and do the next one and solve the past questions that have come on this concept so far. So hang in there and let's continue. Okay.
All right, so we look at the next question here, which is question 4. Now, in question 4 is a Bantima, who is a Ghanaian company, and Bantima will also be making payments. So that is that. So if you will be making payments, the same analogy, and it is 3 months' time. All right, so that is, it says that the company treasurer has determined the following. So the dollar to CD, the spot is what you see here. Okay. Then we have the 3 months forward is also given. Then the money market rates are also. So this one to Bantima is going to make a payment, and it's a Ghanaian company, which means that he needs to buy the dollar. So we look at the first one, which is the forward. And here we need to pick these 2 rates. All right, so then have the conversation as to what to do. First of all, if it's a forward, you know what you do now. Find out if 1.8250 is equal to 1 CD. All right, CD is equal to $1. That's what? No. No. So it's the other way around. So this is how it is quoted. 1.825 is quoted like this. So that is what you have. So dollar to CD will be equal to 1 Ghana CD. All right. So find out, are we multiplying or we are dividing? How much will this one 230,000 be? So clearly you see that it's a concept of a division. Now you know that it's a division, and you are going to make a payment in dollar, which means you need to go and buy dollar. How is it going to be? So that's the question you need to ask yourself. How is it going to be? So if herein you are going to buy dollar, which means that the bank is going to sell to you. And if the bank is going to sell to you, we've already agreed that they will sell to you quoting a higher, they will sell to you high. So basically that is that. And if it is division, then it means that you need to divide by the lower one so that you can get the higher value. So if I take 230 for the forward, and I've seen that it's a division between this figure and this figure, which one is likely to give me the higher answer for what I need to do? So those are the questions you ask yourself. And clearly, you could see that you need to use this one because that is the one that will give you the higher. So that is those kind of analysis that you do, 8338, all right? And that will give you approximately a CD value of 125, 423. So yeah, rounded. So that is what you do. Now let's do the money market hedge. And I'm going to now use this one to explain more the money market hedge. So for now, should we use the table? Okay, for now, let's use the analysis that we did. Now, we first do the present value of the figure. So what you need to understand is that this figure is a 3-month figure. It is quoted in 3 months, like it's a figure for 3 months. We want it now. So we said that we need to borrow the CD equivalent of the money today, the CD equivalent of the present value. So how do we find the present value? And I said you use the deposit rate of the dollar. And then I'll explain to you again. Now, so this one will be $30,000. We are dividing by 1 point. So this is 3 months. We need to do three months of this. And that 3 months of the figure 4.2 is going to give you 0.1050. So basically that is that. So here will be 1 point. So no, it's 0.01. So that is it. It's supposed to be like this. 0.0105. So that is it. This is it. All right. So that said, here will be 1.0105. So you will get, when you divide this, you are going to get, this is a rate. This is not a currency. So I need to take it. So this is how it's supposed to be. So you still get a dollar figure of 227,610.09. Now let me give you this explanation. That 230 that you see in here as the dollar, we want the present value. This is a 3-month value. It's a value in 3 months' time. You need to understand that. It's a value in 3 months' time. It means that this is the value, and they deposited it for 3 months. And like I told you, you are depositing it for 3 months. So this is the value you need to borrow. So the steps that I gave you earlier on. So you realize that this is it. So it is this value when you multiply by the 1.0105, which is a 3 months interest rate, you are going to get this figure. So you can try it and see. So because of that, what you are doing is to borrow the equivalent of that money, of this money today. So how much will we borrow of such in our currency? And that is why you need to use the deposit rate, not the borrowing rate, because this figure, the present value of this figure is actually this. That is what you have. It is the value now, today. So you see, this is the value, and that is the value that has been deposited for 3 months to get you this 230. So what you just do in your first step, finding the present value and by dividing it, is giving you the present value of the money now. So if you deposit it for 3 months and you multiply, you see that you are getting this figure. So now that we know this is the figure, the same now, we now need to know the CD equivalent of what we need to borrow. So we are going to borrow our CD equivalent. So this figure, which is 277,610.09, we are going to convert it into our currency. And we've already seen that it's a division, right? And if it is a division, we are using the spot rate now. So since it's a division, which one will give us more of the CDs? Because that is what is going to happen. We are going to actually, this is the figure that we have. All right, but we don't need the CD. the dollar, was we need the dollar to pay. Let me explain it like that. But if you are going to borrow, you are going to borrow it in CD. So basically, that is that. So now, if you are going to pick any of these two to work the bank will sell to you. And since they are selling to you, of course, you are going for CD. So since they are selling to you, what is going to happen is that they are going to sell to you at the one that will give them a higher amount. So take note of that, just like you did for the forward. So here you divide. And so since you know it is by division, you pick the one with the lower rate, 8250. All right. So basically that is that. Don't forget, this is it. Do your if more or less divide concept to get it always right. So once you do that, you are ending up with 124, 717.86. So basically that is that. And now that you have this is the money that you are borrowing. Don't forget this is dollar. So dollar, it takes off, then it ends you up with CD. So it means that this is the money that you are going to borrow. And if this is the money that you are going to borrow, then you'll be paying interest inclusive this money. So the next thing to do is to multiply this thing by the interest, the borrowing interest. So 124, 717.86 multiplied by 1 point. So now you are borrowing, you borrow this currency. So you have to do 3/12 of that. And that one will give you 0.14375. All right. Or then when you multiply, you are getting the cost of this thing to be 126,510.68. All right. So you now compare this one, this figure, this against this. Again, it looks as if the forward is cheaper. So you go for the forward. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, that is it. All right. Basically, that is it. So it's just a three-step approach, but the explanation of it is actually like, so here the last thing to do is to pay the dollar amount that you need to pay your supplier, and you also pay the loan, all right, with the equivalent of the CD. So basically that is that. All right. So this is how you do the PV, telling you that this is the value which they have deposited for 3 months to get this value. So this is the value. They deposited it for 3 months to get this. So your first step is to do the present value, and you divide it by the rate. 1 plus R is always 1 plus R. All right, so that you get the present value. When you get the present value, you convert it now. All right, use the current spot rate, and you are going to, that is the amount you need to borrow in your own currency. And so you multiply it by 1 plus the borrowing rate. And always don't forget, if it is 3 months, do 3/12 of that. All right, so basically that is it. All right, so this is where you end up. All right, so it tells you that the forward is far cheaper than that. All right, so that is that. So let's look at situations where it is a receipt that you are doing. This time around, you are going to receive the money. Okay, so let's look at the situation that is a receipt. I hope you've not forgotten the steps that you need to do. Okay, so these are your steps. Your step is to borrow in dollar the present value of the amount you are receiving. In case so you borrow the present value of the money that you are supposed to receive. All right, so that is that. And so therefore, instead of a deposit rate, this one, it will be a borrowing rate. Okay, so that is the first step. I think afterwards, the rest is just easy for you to do, all right? Because the next time, since you borrowed, you will be depositing it. And the next time round, you realize that you'd rather be using the deposit rate to determine how much you'll be receiving. Okay, so let's use this illustration to actually spell out the issue. This time round, Liverpool, as you see him, is receiving 1.2 in 6 months' time. So that is that. So the receipt, and don't forget, Liverpool is in UK and is receiving dollar of 1.2, and it is in 6 months' time. So here our focus will be on a 6-month forward, not a 3-month forward. I must make a payment. So he too will be making a payment. So this is where you do matching first. So he will receive, he also has a payment. You don't forget. So he has a payment of 0.3 to do. So at the end of the day, you realize that his total receipt. So you first do matching. All right, his total receipt is 0.9, which is like 900,000. All right, so that is what. So anytime you have similar currencies like that, you need to first net off. All right, a matching concept. All right, so we have the other information here. So forward, how will it be? First step, find out whether you are doing a division or a multiplication. All right, very, very important. Don't ever compromise on that step. So pick any of the exchange rates because they are all quoted the same. So let's say, I think here is 1 point, right? So 1.700, all right, as to this. So if 1.700 is equal to, this is dollar, will be equal to £1, then how much you are receiving? 1.2 million. 1.2 million. How much will it be? Clearly, it's another division. So you know it's a division. So that one, we put it down. Now, since it's a division, the value here is $900,000. And what is going to happen now? You are going to be receiving $1.2. But do you need the dollar? Because you are a UK person. You need pounds. So what will happen is that you are going to sell the dollar to get pounds. You are going to exchange the dollar because that is what is in your hands. You are going to exchange it to collect pound. And given the quotation that you also have here, all right, what is going to happen is that you are going to sell, and because that is the trade, all right, you are going to sell the dollar. And if you are selling the dollar, then clearly it means the bank is what? Is buying. So if the bank is buying and it is division, you need to divide it by the one that will give you the lower answer because bank will buy at a cheap. So if that is the case, where is our 6 months forward? This is our 6 months forward. Which one do you think when you divide will give you a lower amount? Obviously, is the bigger one from the concept of 10/5 and 10/2 that we did. All right. So in this case, you just divide 1.6809. Okay. So dollar to dollar. And that changes into your pound for you. You are getting something like 3,535,427. So basically, that is that. As simple as that. Easy peasy. All right. So forward is very, very simple. Then we come to the money market. So the money market, you remember what we do, right? So you are going to now borrow the equivalent.
Recording in progress.
Let's borrow the PV, the present value of the this time around is the 900,000. So what is the present value of the 900,000? Meaning that what figure are we borrowing? And here you are borrowing the US currency. So the US equivalent of that, you are going to use this to find the present value. All right. So basically that is that. So you have 900. You know, when you are paying, the money has to be deposited. The dollar figure has to be deposited. All right. So this one, you are borrowing the dollar figure, but you rather deposit your CD value because no, this is This is dollar and pound. So you would need your pound, all right, to know how much you'll be receiving later on. All right. So which one will give you higher receipts? So this one, the present value is 1 point. Of course, you need to do 6/12 of this because you are using 6 months. So you need to do so because and please, this thing we did the netting because this is 6 months. This is also 6 months. If it is not equal timing, you cannot net it off. All right. If I didn't be like one was 4 months, you can't net it off because it's not the same timing. Okay, so let's do 6/12 of the borrowing, 6.5%, and that gives you 0.3250. All right, so 325. So it will be 1.0325 for decimal place. That's it. All right, and how much is that going to give us? This is it, 871671 rounded. Okay, so basically that is that. And so this is the money. All right. So you are going to now translate this money to your pound because what you want to receive is the pound, not the dollar. Okay. So basically that is that. So you are going to give away the dollar and get your pound. All right. So now that is it. So since you are going to sell the dollar, and that is exactly what we learned in the procedures. So how much in our currency term, pound, we are going to sell this dollar to get what we want in our pound. And if you are selling the dollar, it means the bank is buying the dollar. And all these things are happening now. All right. That's why I prefer putting it in that nice table, but you can also decide not to. So you're going to sell this figure and to know the amount of pound. I keep tending to trying to say CD, but no. And you are doing all these things now. And so you have 871,671. And we know that it is a division. All these things, the division. And since you are doing it now, you need the spot rate. And since you are dividing, which means you are going to sell this dollar, the bank is going to what? The bank is going to buy. And they will buy it by, it's a division. So you use the one that will give a lower answer. All right. So basically that is that. Now it changes to your pound, which is 511,544, also rounded. All right. So basically that is that. Now, what do you do with this figure? You are now going to deposit this figure for the 6 months. So deposit. You are going to deposit this figure for 6 months. And when you deposit, you will rather be earning interest. So it should be this. And don't forget, it is 6 months, so it will be 3%. So don't forget that. So it means you are going to multiply this 511,544 by 1.03. So that is that. And that is going to give you this figure. Five, 26890. So if you do the money market, this is what you will get. It's a receipt. If you do the forward, this is what you will get. So which one will you go for? Obviously, the forward. All right. So the forward is cool. All right. So let's see. Yeah, exactly. So let's deal with this mantra. After mantra, I think we will have some we'll return to foreign. But before we use the derivative, we go to the derivatives. I think that there will be some questions for us to do. Checking money market and some past questions. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is a typical example of a past question. to use. All right. So from there, we come to that question, then we'll be done. Okay. So this is Mantrack. The same approach. Mantrack has issued is based in France and has currently imported raw materials from US. And he has been invoiced this. Don't forget, France is in Europe, and so they should be interested in euro, not dollar. So this is it. He imported, so it means he has this to pay. So he has a payment of dollar 240 to make in 3 months' time. In addition, he also exported to Japan and Australia, and the customer has been invoiced this amount, also payable in 3 months' time. So we have a receipt to also collect because we did an export. So the Japanese customer also in 3 months' time. So it means that at the end of the day, we have a net payment to make. Then the Australian customer too, we have to receive from him Australian dollar. So this question has two things to do. So you could see that clearly on one side, we have a payment to do, and the net payment that we need to pay has to be calculated. So how much is the net payment? That is 171. So it is a payment. So let's see how we're going to go about this with the forward and money market. All right. So A, forward. Simple analogy. The forward for the payment, you need to just find out how many is 3 months forward. So these are the 3 months forward. So in a 3 months forward, this is what we have. Okay. So when you look at the forward, 171, 3 months, these are your rates. So are you going to divide or multiply? So if 0.9520 is US to dollar, US to euro is equal to 1 euro, then how much will 171,000 be? It's a division. And since it's the division, you are a France person, you need to pay, you are going to buy the dollar. And if you are going to buy the dollar, it means the bank is going to sell to you. If the bank is going to sell to you and you are dividing, you need the one that when you divide, you get a higher one. So 171,000 divided by, between this and this 3 months forward, which one when you divide will give you a higher value? Obviously, is 0.5920, which means that with this forward, it is going to be an euro. This should be euro. The contract is not yet. Sorry, an euro of 179,622 rounded. So that is that. For this one, it's a 4 months thing. So you need to pay, you need to collect, sorry, an Australian amount of 295. So you have to use a 4 months one. All right, the 4 months. So the same analogy. You are a euro country. If they are paying you this, you don't need it. And so what do? You will be selling this figure. Okay, so you sell. And if you are selling, you see the way they've quoted it, it means that you are the one, you will sell. So it means the bank will rather what? buy. And if the bank is going to buy, you have to find out, is it division or multiplication? Let's find out. So if 1.19510, you can even use this. This is just for testing. Is equal to 1 AS, and you have the AS to be 295,000 AS. Just see clearly that this is a multiplication. So you have to multiply. If I'm multiplying, I need to ask myself. I think the internet just playing. Yes. So if I'm multiplying, internet is back. So we are doing the formula. So let's do whether we are dividing or multiplying. 9510 euro, right? So this is euro to AS. So euro is equal to 1 AS. All right. And our own was 295 AS. Okay. So clearly you see that if this is X, we are multiplying. And if we are multiplying, we are an euro country. If the customer is paying us this, we need to sell it. We need to go and sell it because we don't need the AS. We are a euro country. So it means that as they are giving us the AS, we don't need it. We need to go and exchange it for what we would rather need. And so if you look at it, we are going to sell it. And if we are selling it, then it means the bank is buying it. So we need to multiply it by the one that will give us the lower amount. So if you multiply it by this and multiply it by this one will give you a higher amount. This one will be the one that will give you a lower amount. So if you take your 295 AS, you are going to multiply it by 1.9510. All right, so basically that is that. And that, if you multiply it, is going to give you an euro of 7,575,545. So that is it for the two in terms of forward. Now let's look at the money market. The money market. So let's do money market for the 900,000. And it's $1 of 900,000. And it is a payment. So what do? You do the PV of the $900,000. And it is a payment. Don't forget. So by that, we will do 900,000 divided by the deposit rate. You see, in this question, they didn't give you deposits and borrowing, but you should know. Okay, so these are the forwards. This is the money market. So this is it. So if you are doing this, which one do you think is the deposit and the borrowing? Like I said, the deposit is the lower one all the time, and the borrowing is the higher one. So it means that you are going to use the 10 here instead. And this is 3 months, right? So you do 3 months of the 10%. So 1 point. So what is 3 months of 10%? So 3 over 12. 3 over 12 of 0.1. All right. So that is 0.025. So here will be 1.0250. So that is what you do. All right. And that is giving me a dollar amount. Of course, it's a dollar amount of 160. Oh, I used the old example, right? Because this one was 171. So living in the old life. This 171. So all these must go. The figure we are looking at is 171. I think because of the internet linkage. 171,000, 171,000, 171,000. So when we do the 171 proxy, 166,829. All right. So now that we know the present value of the figure, what we are going to do is to borrow it, the equivalent, the euro equivalent. All right. So we have dollar of 166,829. So we are doing it now. Don't forget now. Everything is now. So we need a spot rate now. So spot rate between this and this is this. So as you can see, these are concepts of division. Because we are paying this money, we need to go and buy this money. And we are going to divide it by the one that will give us a higher value because the bank will be selling to us. So that is that. And this is the one that will give you. Of course, we already know when it comes to the US dollar and the euro, it's a division. And so we need to divide by the one that gives us the higher value. So 0 point this, and that will give me euro of 169,714. All right. So that is that. The bank is selling. Now, we will deposit this and get, this is the money that we are borrowing. Okay, so that is the borrowing. So we will be paying this figure plus the borrowing percentage rate. So 714. So to be multiplied by, when you borrow in euro, how much do you pay? This is it. Borrowing will be the higher one. So what is 3 over 12? So 3 over 12 of borrowing 13. And that gives 0.0325. All right. So basically that is that. That's 3 over 12 of this. So when you multiply, the answer you are getting is 175,230 proxy. So comparing this one to the forward, 179,622, 175, then it means the money market will be the one because that is the one that is cheaper because it's a payment. Okay. So that is that. All right. So like I said, the crisscrossing, when you pick 10, you know that the next thing is the crisscross. All right. But always understand that borrowing is the higher one. Then we come to this one. This time around, we are receiving a payment of 295. So as usual, since payment, you use the deposit rate. Here, you are going to use the borrowing rate, and that is 16. So you need to do what is the month? 4 months over of 16. So let's do that. So that is 0.05333. That is what we have. So bringing it in, we are going to do AS 295,000, 1.053. And we'll get an AS amount of 280,072 proxy. So now, the same now, we need euro. So what are we going to do? We are going to sell this. So you are selling this. So if you are selling this currency, let's see, we realized that this one is a multiplication, right? Yeah, when we did the change of that, it was multiplication. So if you are selling, the bank is buying. So you are going to multiply it by the one that will give you a lower figure. So the spot rates, these are the spot rates for these two. All right, so which one will give you the lower figure? It's a multiplication. So that one will be by 1.8890. All right, so that will give you an error of 529,056. All right, so the last thing is to find out, you will deposit this figure. And once you are depositing it, how much will you be getting after the 4 months? So where is the deposit for that? Depositing in your euro is the lower one, 11.5. So what is 3 over 12 of 11.5? 4 over 12 of 11.5%. So 4 over 12 of 11.5% is giving me 0.03833. So 0.0383. So we will get 529,056 multiplied by 1.0383. And that is 549,319. Which one will cause you to receive a higher amount? So this is 375 that you'll be receiving. 575 that you're receiving as compared to 549. So in this case, we conclude that the forward is better than the money market. All right. So for this one, we'll go for the forward. For the other one, we went for the money market because this is a cost and this is a receipt. So that is all. Last one is the past question. Let's look at the past question. Actually, a likely exam question for you to go through. Okay, this is the future. We will look at the future in the next video. So let's pick a past question that is about money market. And okay, so this is it. So Nedgem company or Nedwen company is a Ghanaian base. And that has the following expected transaction. So in 1 month time, he's expecting to receive this. In the same 1 month time, he's expecting to pay this. In 3 months time, he's expecting to receive this. So you can match the 1 month. So you are expecting to receive 240. You're expecting to pay 140. So it means your net receipt is $100,000. So we'll be doing for a receipt. That is that. Then in 3 months' time, you are still also want to receive another 300,000. So this is 3 months. This is 1 month. So they are both receipts. And when it is a receipt, the present value of this 100,000, you need to use the borrowing rate. So where is the borrowing rate? The money market, these are the borrowing and the deposit. So you could see clearly this one, the examiner tried to help you. So if I am to rearrange this, I'm going to quote it like this. Obviously, the borrowing rate is always the higher one. So that is that. So you don't need to be told, but it's always the higher one. So in dollar, we need to use, so this is it in dollar. All right. So this one will be the one for the CD because it's a Ghanaian base. All right. So that is that. To be the one for the CD. And this spot is quoted with a spread. So it means you need to be careful. So first of all, if you want to do a forward for this, Of course, that is what we will be asking to do. We have to do what this will be in a forward and also do it in a money market. So that's what we are doing. So the present value of this, you use the borrowing in the dollar, but it is 1 month. So it means you need to do, you see this one is 1 year, but you don't need to be told, you need to do 1 month. So 1/12 multiplied by borrowing of 4.9%. And let's calculate that. Okay. So 1/12 multiplying 0.049 is giving me 0.0041. Yeah, I need to round that up. Okay, so that is it. So that is what I have. Now, this is for borrowing, and it is in CD. Of course, we are doing dollar, so I should be using this rather. So it should rather be this. The dollar rate. 5.4%. So I should rather be 0.054, and that is 0.0045. All right, so that is what you have. So if you are doing the money market, that is what you will be doing. Okay, so that is 1 month. So you pick the 1 month on. That is what you'll be doing in the money market. Okay. So in a forward, did I do the forward? You've not done the forward to that yet. So if you want to do the forward for the $100,000, I mean, forward is simple, right? But you see, it's 1 month forward. 1 month forward. And so the forward rate for 1 month is also quoted here. But look at the way it is done. It is given in plus or minus. So let's do the forward first, because that one is quite easy. But you need to quote this thing. So it means plus or minus, meaning you have to reduce this one. So that it will be 1.782 on one hand, right? That is what you'll be doing. So plus and minus, plus and minus, plus and minus is to 1.7832, right? Because if you add this to this, so that is what you have. So that is the 1 month forward, okay? But this one was a 3 months. When you are doing it, you use the 3 months analysis. But the 100,000 is a 1 month, okay? So you ask yourself, division or multiplication. So you pick any of them. If 1.7826 is equal to 1 CD, right? Because these are in dollars. Then how much will our dollar of 100,000 be? Because this is CD, so position it at the CD side, and this is a division. Okay. Now, this Ghanaian company is expecting to receive 100,000 and dollars. He doesn't need the dollars, so he will sell it for the CD. And as you can see, if you are going to sell it, the bank is buying. And if the bank is buying and it's a division, then it means you need to divide it by the one that will give you a lower figure. Obviously, this will be it. So it means that when I take my $100,000, I'm going to divide it by 1.7832. So that is what you are going to do. And by that, the figure that you have is a CD of 56,079. So that is how you do the forward. As simple as that. If you are doing a forward for this 300,000, that is a 3 months forward. So this is how it is also quoted. So you need to spread it out. So it will be 1.7842 Then on the other hand, it will be 1.750 because you add this to this. That is what you get. So which one will you pick? So just do it more or less divide. If 1.7842 is giving 1 CD, dollar is giving 1 CD, how much would 300 be? Is also a division, right? As you can see. So if it is a division, what are you going to do? You need CDs. You are going to sell the dollar. And if you are going to sell the dollar, it means that the bank is buying. So you have to divide by the one that will give you a lower. So $300,000 will be divided by this, of course. So 7850, it is 1.7850. And that will give me a steady rounded figure of 186,067. So that is that. Let's look at the money market. So we've done in 1 month and in 3 months using the forward. Okay, we've done that. And we are going to do that, the receipt in 3 months using the forward. Oh, okay, so we are supposed to do this in 3 months, not in 1 month. So if you have, so calculate the expected sterling receipt in 3 months. So let me highlight that. Okay. Using the money market hedge, and recommend whether a forward. But the forward was done, the first forward was done with 1 month. So it should be 1 month and 3 months. I think that's how it's supposed to be. Other than that, converting a forward which was done in 1 month. This was the forward that was done in 3 months. So I think we need to do something. But if the question said 3 months, we will be using 3 months anyway. So basically that is that. And don't forget, this is a receipt, so we do borrowings. So, oh no, our question is up here. So I'm going to do the 2, all right? $100 for 3 months, 1 month. 1 month. Then $300,000 for 3 months. So we said that we will be using, so here is a dollar. We'll be using this. So first 1/12 of 5.4%. And here we the same thing. So whatever we get, we use for both of them. But here is 3 months, so 3/12 of 5.4%. So that is what we are going to do. All right. So let's do that. The 3/1 month is, I had 0.0045. So let me do 3 months of save. That is 0.0135. So if I'm doing the PV, first one will be 100,000 divided by 1.0045. Here the PV will be $300,000 divided by 1.0135. So these are the different answers that you are likely to get there. All right. So this one will be 100,000 divided by 1.0045. That gives me a dollar of 99,552. Okay, rounded. Let me leave it like that. And this one is 300,000 divided by 1.0135. That one is 29,604. So basically that is that. Then we see in conversion, because we need CDs. We are going to sell this dollar. So if you are going to sell now, the bank is buying. And I think we did the rates for the spot when we were doing the conversion. All right, so this is it. This is what we did. And this one too. This was it, right? So which ones are we going to use now? Okay. So the spot now, this is the spot. All right. So using the spot, okay, what we did was the forwards. So let's do the spots. Oh. Okay. So let's do for the spot. So we are adding 2, we are deducting 2. So one of them will be 1.7818 to 1.7822. All right. So we know we are selling, bank is buying, and it is a division. Since it's a division, we have to pick this, right? Because that one is the one that will give us the lower answer. So you have 99552 divided by 1.7822. The same thing applies to this. One point, because that's the same spot. Okay. So when we do this, what are we getting for this one? This one will give me 166089. So that is that. And this one too is 99552 divided by 1.77822. That gives me a CD. It converts it to CD2, the 55,859. So 55,8. So this is what we are going to deposit now, and we will earn the interest of it. So what is the deposit interest in CD? That is it. So what will be 1 month of that? So it means this will be 1/12 of the deposit, 4.6, right? And this one, so yeah, that's the deposit for all. So by here, one will be 3/12 by 4.6%. So let's do that quickly. 1/12 by 0.046. This is 0.0038. Then the same here, we are doing 3/12 of 0.046. That is 0.0115. So it means the deposit here will be 55,859 multiplied by 1.0038. Here will be 1660, sorry. 166089 multiplying 1.0115. So this one plus 1, we are multiplying it by 166089. That gives me a CD of 167999. Then here we are multiplying 55,859 by 1.0038. That is giving me 56,071. So comparing this receipt to the forward, we were doing a forward receipt for 1 month. What was our figure? Where are you? For a forward figure, this is it. This is 56,000, and this is, which one will give us a higher figure? Obviously, this one gives us a higher figure compared to this. Then this one, when we do a forward, we have 29004. Is that the forward? No, the forward is here. The forward is 16807, 067. This one too. This is the one that will give us more. I think this is the one that is giving us more, right? Because by receipt, 079 compared to 07. Okay, so that is that. This one is small. All right, so it looks as if the first one, the forward is good. The second one, the money market is the good one. All right, so that is that. All right. 16. Oh no, this one is. I see this is 168. So in both cases, the forward is good. All right. In both cases, the forward is the one. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is it. I hope this theory is the one for you to discuss. We've done that in introduction, and you go through and you work the rest. So thank you. In the next video, we are doing options and futures, swaptions and swaps. God bless you.